faults that they're different without Donovan. But from your standpoint, you guys, is defending a team that does all the things they do a different challenge than a young team trying to defend a star player and all the adjustments you make to deal with that?
Yeah, I mean, without Donovan, they don't have the guy who's trying to get to the rim like they usually do. But they have, when Joe Ingles is in, they have the playmaker, the one who makes everybody else better, shot threat, the size. So I won't say there isn't much of a drop off, but it's just different. And for us, it's going to be similar because it's always for us to get back and get our defense set, but then find the 3-point shooters against this team and wrestle with Gobert in the middle. But yeah, without Mitchell, it's different, but they've done it before and they have a quality guy coming in to replace him.
But I guess what I'm asking is game planning easier, but defending harder from a technical snap standpoint.
Yeah. I mean, yes, is the answer to your question. Game planning is a little bit easier, but the actual doing it makes it a little bit harder because it does lead to more ball movement, less isolations, and more situations that you have to guard. And we prepared for those situations, but without Donovan, it's a little bit different. Yeah.
Are you able to
Yeah, it's probably going to be building upon what we've already started. There's a few defensive things that I'd like to introduce, and we'll see if we get to them. But pretty much it'll be reviewing what we've done, taking this time to really review and not think about the next opponent as much. We have 3 days, so we can really kind of get into us and improve some of the things that we've been talking about, and then maybe at the end of it introduce 1 or 2 things, but probably not. Yeah. I mean, we're always looking for improvement, but yeah, the practice time is huge. Like yesterday we had a really good practice and we went over some things that hurt us in the Sacramento game, and it's some situations that are kind of consistent across the NBA that we had gotten loose on because, we just haven't had the practice time. So yeah, I'm looking forward to a bunch of practices. So players probably aren't looking forward to all these practices coming up, but I am for sure.
It just seems that you guys have some of the things out there. Mistakes and earlier back-to-back. Is there something you guys are
Yeah, I mean, guys are learning more. They're learning quicker. They're learning as a result of past failures or past experiences. So the more you go through things and the more you kind of hit different subjects and hammer home different concepts, the better they'll get at it. So yeah, the Sacramento back-to-back wasn't just Sacramento. It was weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks of kind of trying to hammer home certain concepts and certain things.
Just to follow up on that, you don't have guys with protocols.
Yeah.
As much as those focus on that night's opponent, is there still a growth element that benefits the young team to get the help to the guys?
Yeah, it's huge. We try to every shoot around go through something that is not necessarily somewhat specific to the team that we're playing, but just like general, this is where you're supposed to be when the penetration comes, or when the pass goes out, this is where you're supposed to go. So, having shoot arounds, especially when you're going game after game after game is huge, and not having those during those times when we had those COVID tests and whatnot was really tough for our group. So any opportunity we get with this group to teach is valuable for us.
Obviously, threat offense.
Yeah, his shooting is coming along. He's improved over the last few games, of course, especially down the stretch. But he's been working. He's been working on his game, and like I continue to say, it's the layering effect of going through experiences and failing some and having some success and growing. And we're 45 games in, so there's been a lot to kind of digest for him, and he's getting better. He is. He's slowing down a little bit. And last game he turned it over more than he wanted to, but overall it does seem like the game's slowing down for him, and he's definitely more confident in the shot for sure.
We'll take two from Zoom. Jackson Gatlin.
Hey, Stephen. As far as KJ Martin, what has stood out to you about his progression from the start of the season to now? And do you have a specific area of focus for him over the remaining portion of this season?
Yeah, I would say the main part that he's really improved on is his defense, his help defense first and foremost. I think last year we saw him making spectacular plays and being late to help, but using his athleticism to block shots and make great plays and fly in for rebounds. And now he's better positionally where he's in the spot early and they have to move the ball because he's there and he's not getting those blocks because he's late or box out rebounds that are a result of being in the right place at the right time. So, and then the man-to-man defense is way better than it was last year. I mean, he is closing out with good technique. He is not allowing the ball to get to the middle of the floor. If it gets to the middle of the floor, he is leveling the ball off, staying down on shot fakes, all of those things that you need to do to be a good defender. So, his man-to-man defense as well as his help defense are much better than they were even in training camp. The offensive part, he needs to just continue to be a guy who runs the floor, finishes in transition, go spin, all those things that he does. And then the shooting part is coming along. There's games where he makes a few and games where he doesn't, but he continues to work at it. And that's the main thing. Like the shot quality is important. And if he could get to a point where teams are really honoring him or closing out to him, now he can use his gifts as far as driving the ball.
David Locke.
Coach, how hard is it for you offensively when you have a group of young players and not a defined pecking order of necessarily who's the first option, second option, and third option for the group?
Yeah. The way that we play, we try to get it moving more and play like 5 out and kind of be equal opportunity. Partly because that's kind of how I believe basketball should be played, but also partly because of how our roster is put together. So yeah, it becomes there's times where, like the game where Eric had 31 on 10 shots, that just happens. And, that would lead me to make more play calls, which is fine. Like I don't mind making more play calls, but for us as a group, I think we play our best when we're playing kind of up the floor and getting the ball moving and have multiple actions, whether it's dribble handoffs or pick and rolls. And we create offense that way through our energy as opposed to kind of having a pecking order like, okay, Kevin, it's your turn. Now it's Christian's turn. Now it's Jalen's turn. Now it's Eric's turn. Like doing it that way would be really hard to do. So, I believe in basketball, as far as the ball moving and options or scoring opportunities created by ball movement and pace. But, there are times, especially down at the end of the game, where you have to slow it down and make a play call, and it has to go to a certain guy on a certain spot, and we have to execute. And we've done that in some of our close games.
You mentioned the 5 out. Coach, what's the tug of war tonight with them wanting to leave Rudy in the middle and you trying to pull Rudy out, and how do you go about that?
It's not easy. We haven't had much success doing it. They put Rudy on Jayshawn Tate most of the times, and we try to move him around as much as possible. The best way to do it is to beat him down the floor. But, it's a hard job because he's smart. He's one of the best defenders to ever play the game, and he's hard to kind of move around. So it's going to be up to Jayshawn to make a couple shots. It's going to be up to him to be a good screener and to be in the action, because we can't allow him to just or Gobert to just kind of stand in there. And it's a hard job. Like, it's not just us. He does it to everybody. That's why he's Defensive Player of the Year every year.